Welcome to the Skill Builder session on quoting, paraphrasing and summarizing. The work you produce at university, in particular the written work such as essays and reports, require you to think about published material on your topic. Using the work of others is thus an essential part of academic writing. You expect to use the literature to back up your points and your argument. You must not simply cut and paste text, as this would be considered plagiarism and would not demonstrate any understanding or learning. Instead, you will need to be quoting, paraphrasing or summarizing the material. By the end of this short tutorial, you will be able to understand when, why and how to quote, paraphrase or summarize. So let's start with quoting. Quoting is the repeating of the exact words. You should do this when the exact wording matters, as for example in a definition. Quotes can be useful to illustrate points. When quoting, it is important that you mark out the beginning and end of the quote with quotation marks, and that you include an acknowledgement or reference either before or after the quote. How this looks depends on the particular referencing style that you have been asked to use. An important part of quoting is to make sure that it fits grammatically within your writing. Paraphrasing, on the other hand, is reporting what you have read in your own words. This is best done when the content is more important than the word choice. For example, if you report back on an analysis or insight. By reporting back what you consider important, you demonstrate your understanding. However, your wording has to be significantly different from the original text in word choice and in structure. Even though the text now is in your own words, you still need to include an acknowledgement or reference when you paraphrase, either before or after. And again, how this looks like depends on the referencing style that you have been asked to use. A third option of using the literature is summarizing, which means condensing text using your own words. You should summarize information when the main points matter more than the details. For example, when giving historical background information, or to provide an overview or context. Your summary should be significantly shorter and in your own word. It still needs to be accompanied by an acknowledgement. So let's have a look what all of these look like. Here a short extract from an article written by John Montgomery. See the footnote at the bottom of the slide. Let's assume that we would like to quote from cultural quarters to venues. I will show you how this will look like using two different referencing styles, the footnote style and the author date style. You will note that the first part of the sentence, from Montgomery until popular, is in the student's word, and the quote then starts with cultural quarters and finishes on venue, marked out by quotation marks. This is the same for both styles. The difference is in how we include the acknowledgement. In the footnote style, the sentence ends with a full stop and then has a superscript which corresponds to the footnote at the bottom of the page. In the author date style, we have the brackets with the author, the date and the page number before the full stop. Next, let's look at a paraphrase using the same sentence from Montgomery. The first thing that you may notice is that the paraphrase is about the same length as the original. This paraphrase starts with the author's name. This is something that you can do, but you do not have to do. Notice, however, that for both styles, despite using the author's name at the beginning of the sentence, you will need to include a reference. With the footnote styles, That would be the superscript after the full stop. And for the author date style, you can insert the date right after the author's name in brackets. Most author date styles do not require you to include a page number. If you would like to exclude the name of the author, you could start your paraphrase with the word frequently. For the footnote style, that would be exactly the same way of referencing, whereas for the author date style, you would need to include a reference now at the end of the sentence. Paraphrasing can be tricky, and sometimes students struggle to get it right. Here's another short sentence from Montgomery. Very often students just opt to change a few words. So for example here, exist for happen and activity for action. This would not be considered a paraphrase, as words and structure are too similar to the original. This in fact would be considered plagiarism. Changing more or most words does not really improve the situation, because the structure is still too similar. So what you need to do is change words and structure, but also make sure that the meaning is still the same. If you have a look at the paraphrase sentence, you will see that the last word in the original is now the first word in the paraphrase. This is one of the techniques that you can use to come up with a paraphrase. I will show you some more. Paraphrasing techniques include moving ideas in the sentence or using larger chunks of text. This gives you more creativity. Another thing you could do is break up longer sentences or join shorter ones. Of course, you need to exchange words, but you can also change word categories. For example, when you have a verb like exist, you could change it to a noun, existence. However, at the end, always check and make sure that the meaning is still the same. Moving on to summarizing. This is an example on how a text containing 185 words could be reduced or summarized into 26 words. It is okay for you to pause this slide and have a read through. Even though these 26 words are your own, you still need to reference the resource material. You should now have a better understanding of when, why, and how to quote, paraphrase, or summarize. Most importantly, please remember that every time you use or reproduce work of others, whether it is their words, ideas, or data, you need to include an acknowledgement.
Thank you for watching this presentation. The Skills for Academic Success team is committed to continually improving the quality of service we offer to our students. Your feedback is very important to us. Please contact us at sas@kent.ac.uk.